All right, everyone, welcome back to episode 14 of Jux. Day late, full squad's here though. I'm recovering from sickness. Gnar's getting back from his vacation, but everybody's here. Everybody's on. We're ready to roll. Cover a good week of football. Gnar's already informed us that he might not have had too many eyes on the games, but that's understandable. He was partying it up on the islands. So we'll jump into it. We'll give you as much insight as we can. Jump into some week 15 bets. The boys are staying fairly hot. Touchdown scores were weak this week, but the teaser hit, and when it doesn't hit, we're normally only one team away, so we're sniffing it every week. We will jump into some baseball free agency. As I predicted, Tigers have yet to do anything, which was pretty evident with what Scott Harris said. Fans are criticizing him. We'll get into that later. First things first, it's been almost a full week now, so later than it normally is when we talk about Thursday night football. But this wasn't really a great or fun one to talk about, anyways. Besides the ending drive, Rams beat the Raiders 17-16. Baker Mayfield gets his first start after only being with the team for, 2 days, 3 days? And he leads them on a game winning drive, 98 yards. Train, what is Matthew Stafford's future looking like for the Rams? And what is the Rams' future looking like in the next 3 years after this season?
Definitely didn't expect you to bring that question to me. Stafford, I think he's done. I went to the Rams just to get a Super Bowl. I didn't expect them to get Baker. They got Baker, and that's kind of like okay, you're kind of done here now. Kind of talking to Stafford. Maybe I don't really know. I think he's not even injured. I don't know why he's not playing. I think he's just old and wants to be done. Um, the next 3 years to the Rams, it kind of depends on Baker. Um,
Is
just because he won one game against the Raiders doesn't mean he's going to take them back to the Super Bowl. I don't think he's the answer. Not a big Baker guy. Next 3 years are probably pretty bad with the the amount of money they're spending and the draft picks that they don't have.
Now, are we ringing the retirement bell on Matt Stafford?
I don't think so. I just think if I'm the Rams, there's no reason to play him right now. What are you really playing for? Maybe you get in the playoffs, but you don't have a Cooper Cup. You're injured all around on offense. And I don't think Baker was a say goodbye to Stafford, get out of town type move. I think they had no other options at the quarterback position at the moment.
Sorry, my cat was being an asshole. But yes, I agree. Again, not a lot on this game. Raiders have continued to look Raider-ish. Sometimes they look good, sometimes they don't. They've got Devonte Adams. That's about it. Derek Carr, serviceable quarterback, but uneventful game. Great storyline for Baker Mayfield to end it strong for him on a 98-yard game-winning drive. The more exciting game that I'm sure at least Cole will be more than ready to talk about, but it was also Gnar's tease pick. He gave it to us early before he left on vacation, dropped the Lions in the tease, dropped Jamal Williams in the tease for the touchdown score. Unfortunately, that one didn't hit, but Lions tease hit. Lions take a good victory over a good Vikings team. Some would say they're frauds, but the record's the record. Train, I know you've been going down the rabbit hole of playoffs and everything, and we've had this discussion what feels like almost every week, if not every other week. But after this win, I'm only seeing optimism from Lions fans. You go into this next week favored against another team above 500. Where are you at? How are you feeling? What's the outlook for the Lions?
So, I mean, obviously we went 1-6 and now we're 5-1. Or from flip flopped 6-7. Um, Playing really well recently. I don't know if you guys can hear that. The air fryer went off.
Just a little bit.
Regret. Nice. All right. So, all right. Dan Campbell. The last time I was talking about him is like questionable. But I think that's just who he is. I thought that at the beginning of the season, um, he was making some crazy calls, maybe a little ballsy. And I was like, man, maybe he's probably just still kind of hungover from last year, kind of playing like, coaching and play calling like he did last year just because he wanted to win. But no, I just think that's who he is, and that's, I think, what we have to get used to. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to change. I don't think he's going to change. But, a couple big plays in this game, Gnar. I don't know if you saw him fake punt up 7 with on your own like 30-yard line, and it pays off for like 45 yards. And then last play of the game, practically before kneeling it out, we pass it to Panay Sewell. And, in an interview yesterday, I think, Dan
I was going to
Campbell
ask
said,
you about that.
yeah, he said that he was distracted and didn't even know that they were going to make that play call.
Distracted by what, Train?
The Detroit fans doing the wave. That's kind of funny. I mean,
Are you concerned a little bit that your head coach is like, look at this wave going on?
I don't
Like,
want to get any more hate about my
I get you've got a good
reaction to
offensive
Dan
coordinator,
Campbell.
and that's awesome. But is
Well,
that a
actually,
little bit
he's kind of
concerning
incredible.
that your head coach is distracted by the wave going on in a game
I'm
like
not
this?
going to get into that. A lot more to get into.
All right.
Jared Goff looking a lot better ever since I said I want Lamar Jackson. So, I mean, I asked Hammy today, what are your thoughts on Lamar? He said, screw Lamar. Goff's the guy. And then he gave me a stat, and he said Goff on passes that are 10 yards plus, 10 of 12, 203 passing yards, 3 pass touchdowns, and 158.3 passer rating. We get Jamo's first catch, first touchdown, same thing. Third down conversions looked a lot better than I've ever seen before, especially with Goff. Goff throwing it down the field, those 10-yard passes being very accurate. And then, I think me, Gnar, Ham, Bark, if you want, are going to the Bears game, last home game for the Lions
I
this
won't
year.
be there.
Oh, okay, fair enough. On New Year's Day, if they kind of continue this winning, I don't care what it costs. I got to see this. And then if I had anything to complain about, it would just be penalties, and we probably should guard Justin Jefferson a little bit better. Franchise record against the Lions.
That's tough to say, though. That's tough to say.
I said if I had anything to complain about. Got a big one up against the Jets. The last time I was this excited for a Lions team, we played the Jets first game in Patricia era in 2018 against a rookie Sam Darnold. First game ever in the NFL, threw that pick 6, and that was how happy I was, 5 years ago. And now we're playing them. We got destroyed by a rookie Sam Darnold. I don't want the Jets to ruin my happiness for the Lions once again. I think that's about it. There's a lot more I have on here, but I don't want to ramble too long. I could go a lot longer about this Lions team.
Well, since you won't talk about it, let me go to Gnar with this. Would you be concerned if your head coach is distracted by your fans doing a wave on a 3rd and 7 play call to the point where he just blindly gives the OC permission to run the play and then is shocked when that's the play that's being ran?
Yeah, so to the Detroit fans, and trust me, I get it and I understand it. Their biggest take on Dan Campbell was he's got these nuts, he doesn't make the right play calls at the right times. If that fake punt goes the other way, we blame Dan Campbell again. This is just part of football, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You got to ride and die with those types of play calls and focus level from your head coach. I think it's electric, and you got to take the losses with the wins. And yeah, I think this is probably the biggest Detroit win since Stafford. And like what? When they go to the playoffs, Trent, with Stafford?
16.
Yeah,
I think.
sounds right.
That was probably the biggest game Detroit's played since 2016.
Yeah, it was huge, especially after last week. They were set up for the Lions letdown that fans are all too familiar with. And I preached it last week, and I said I hoped to be wrong, and I was. And they overcame it, and I think that's a big step for them. And I think you see it in the fans now, too. I think a lot of them realized it's a big step.
Well, that was the game. That was the game. We either, this is the same old Lions, or we make that step to where we're a great team. I think hats off to uh, better
Right.
than we better than we've been. It's a step in the a great direction in the past. Uh, Brad Holmes needs some sort of trophy for this past draft. With all the rookies showing out this past game, Jamo touchdown, Kirby with a fumble recovery late in the first half, Hutch with just play after play after play after play. He only had one sack, but he went nuts. Promise. And then with James Houston starting later in the season, already has the second most sacks for any rookie this season, behind Hutch. So this draft was amazing, and I think it's helping out the team a lot.
I'm glad you brought up the draft because that's going to help me transition into the next game. Another team who hit a slam dunk in the draft and is slowly piecing things together, which, no hate to Dan Campbell, I think they have a much more level-headed coach on their team. The Jets drop a tough one to the Bills. When you're talking about draft classes in the NFL this season, it's the Lions and it's the Jets. Lions got Aiden Hutchinson, who's looked great this year. Jameson Williams, who just came back but is already showing to be electric. And a lot of NFL GMs love him. And the picks that you got to make and hit on are those 5th, 6th round guys. Everyone can pick a stud in the first round. I know it doesn't happen. I know there's busts a lot. But to find value in the 5th and 6th rounds is where you find a good GM. Jets came out, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner. Another team with good legs, lose a close game to the Bills. All happy for Justin. No knock on the Bills. Still looking like the team to beat, maybe outside of the Chiefs. Looks like it's a 2-team division still over there. Would you agree, Gnar?
Yeah, for the conference, especially with Lamar injured. But I think the Bengals are a team nobody's really going to want to play coming up the rear. So yeah, I'd say Chiefs and the Bills are on their own tier, but I think the Bengals, I wouldn't want to play them if I was.
They're sniffing around.
They're more than sniffing. They're all up.
Well,
in
they're
that
sniffing
ass.
those teams. They're sniffing those teams at least.
They're in that ass. They're
They're
not
in their
sniffing.
ass. Okay.
Yeah,
They're in Mahomes' ass.
and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Stephon
Okay.
Diggs, Train's touchdown scorer pick.
Bad.
Rough game this week. If you were a fantasy owner who needed Stephon Diggs to do well, I apologize. But the Bills got the win. So if you're a Bills fan, you live with it. You know he's a good guy. But there's one touchdown score. Jamal Williams missed. Stephon Diggs missed. Gnar
Who was our
mentioned
teaser?
teaser was Lions, Jaguars, and Bengals. So I was jumping into the next game because you were talking about the Bengals. Train's pick. Bengals beat the Browns. Deshaun Watson looking better, but he's still not the game changer they gave up picks for, the amount of picks they gave up for, and then a large extension. Is it something that time's just going to fix, time, practice, being back on the field, or has he lost it? Is it gone?
I think it just takes time. This is only his second week back, and like how many times? Like when was the last time he actually played an NFL game? I think it's going to take time. He's on a brand new team, brand new coach, brand new system. I don't think we're going to see the best of him this year, and maybe we can't really get a final answer on this until we go into next season, I think.
Couple highlights from this game. Donovan Peoples-Jones looked phenomenal. Tried to get him from Gnar. I saw it coming. Didn't happen. We had the teaser pick hit. Jamar Chase is back and better than ever, or at least back and as good as he was before. And T. Higgins, I'd have a lot more to say on this if I didn't end up not only beating Steed this week in fantasy football, but demolishing him. I think it was like 135-70.
Wow.
But yeah. My team went, well, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence. Why list? And it wasn't even a game day decision. They list T. Higgins as active on Friday night going into the weekend. So I'm like, oh, what? Yeah, he's active. Mans goes out and plays one snap, and then he goes, no, I'm not really feeling it anymore. And he goes out. I don't care if you're going to do that. Like, I get it. Your hamstrings are worth more than fantasy football points, wins, and losses. But then just be honest, man. Just say, yeah, I don't think I can play this week. Or, I'm still feeling rough, but I'm going to try and get on the field. Don't hide it. Don't be an asshole. One snap?
I
Oh,
don't know.
come on, dude.
I don't know where I heard it. I
He
really
didn't even
don't,
get a
but
target.
He apparently snuck his way out on the field. Like the coaches told him not to suit up, and then he went out there. I don't know how true that can be, but that's what I heard. Like you just sneak out there. Like, what are you doing out there? And then he just like, you can't go back out.
Yeah, enough for them to like, because he was listed as active on the official injury report. So like they let him be in pads. So maybe he had to sneak out, maybe not. But man, if you're not feeling it, then just say that. You got middle class people with small world problems on the line for them, and I get it. You make millions of dollars, but for some of us, dude, just saying you can't play that week is better for us, and that small thing can impact us a lot more than playing one snap can impact you. You're T. Higgins, man. You'll be fine. Sit out. Say you're not going to play. It's okay. We'll get him next week. Rest it up. Don't tell me you're going to play and then go out there for one snap. Again, I won, so I'm okay with it. 0.0 points from T. Higgins on my team, and I still won by 60. But that's all I have to say on that. We'll go into more fantasy football later because I just want to praise Trevor Lawrence when the Jags game comes up, and we'll talk about implications and whatnot. But for now, we're going to bounce over to the Cowboys game. Another disappointing fantasy performance from me. I thought I had money in the bank with the Cowboys defense on this game. And I was sweating for points. They're playing the Texans. And it took a last-minute game-winning drive. Luckily, not last minute, but mostly last minute. But Tony Pollard played well for me. 22 points, I think. Helped put a dent in it. But Dak Prescott led the team down the field on a 99-yard touchdown drive, I think. It was long. But the Cowboys look like they're clicking. They add T.Y. Hilton. Are the Cowboys competitors? Can they contend in the playoffs? Or are they a first-round, second-round exit?
I think they're definitely contenders. That you look at the NFC outside of the Eagles, it's pretty wide open to figure out who's that number 2 team that nobody, that everybody's kind of afraid of. And there's a lot of dangerous, hot, fun teams, and I think the Cowboys should be included in that. Their offense is electric, and Trayvon Diggs, I think, really defines their defense. They're very opportunistic. They take shots when they shouldn't.
Micah Parsons?
Trayvon Diggs.
Just his personality or
his personality,
okay.
The way he plays the game. They take shots, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's what we saw this week, and it was almost a downfall and a super, super bad loss. If they had a little bit more discipline,
see what you're saying now.
If they had more discipline, I think, especially on the back end or secondary, this would be a really, really good team, tough team to beat. But yeah, I think Cowboys are probably the number 2 contender in the NFC at the moment.
Yeah, I think the Zeke Pollard running back duo is phenomenal. A lot of people are like, do you pay this guy? Do you pay this guy? You look at a lot of these teams, and the meta across the NFL right now is to have 2 running backs. And the Cowboys might have 2 of the best. I think they are going to pay Tony Pollard, and they'll probably keep Zeke. I don't really understand how the NFL salary cap works. When teams want things to happen, they make it happen. Whether it's Jerry Jones just taking a checkbook out and says, what do you want for a signing bonus? I don't know. But I think they'll make it work. Zeke still looks good. Tony Pollard looks great. Micah Parsons is probably going to be a generational talent for the next at least 10 years of our life, the way he's playing. but the Cowboys look solid. I don't know how sold I am on Dak yet. He might just be a Derek Carr on a much better team, but we'll see how it goes. Train, you look like you're ready to say something.
Yeah, I mean, just from your question, I think this is a team you're not going to want to go against in the playoffs. And I know that's the Cowboys, and they usually, they usually just lose in the playoffs. It just happens. But this isn't a team you're gonna want to play, and I think this is just a fluke week. Dak threw 2 picks. It's just every team has these games, and this is the game, and they still won. So they're going to be a great playoff team. And our pick at the beginning of the season, before it started, the Eagles and the Cowboys to be 1 and 2, and the NFC Beast. I mean, pretty nice, right?
Yeah, I mean that seemed like a no-brainer at the time, and now it's seeming like even more and more of a no-brainer as the season goes on. But yeah, I mean, Cowboys solid, Eagles solid, but the Commanders are in that division, right? Or am I mistaken?
And the Giants, so they all have 7 or more wins, which
Yeah,
is crazy. But
yeah.
I don't see it.
Truly the NFC beast this year for the most part. Although the Giants did get embarrassed this week by the Eagles. We'll get into that later. Team number 3 of the T's, that hit. And I was going to say every time I've picked my team for the T's, they've won. But every time I've picked a team for a T's, they've won. So I don't know how much that means. I think I started out week 1, week 2, taking the Jags and the T's, and they hit. And then I laid off for a while because the Lions were getting a little... After getting destroyed by the Lions, I was a little heartbroken. I was. Because I still wasn't sure if this was a fraud Lions team getting some hype wins or the real deal yet. After seeing them do what they did to the Vikings, what their offense did to the Vikings, what their defense kind of did to the Vikings outside of Justin Jefferson, which again, tough to ask for, I was encouraged by the Lions being a great team. So the Jags lost to a great team in a great home environment for the Lions. And I saw the wave when I was there. It was a little distracting, but I'm not on the sidelines coaching. But then we go out and we don't only beat the Titans, a team that we haven't beaten in Tennessee since 2013.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we manhandled the Titans. And Trevor Lawrence looked like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now. And I don't think that's bold to say. He was number 1 in fantasy points this week. 3 tubs, no picks, 1 on the ground. And I'm sure you've seen the image of him stiff-arming that motherfucker right to the ground. We hate the Titans. That's the Jags' rival. And Dougie P put together a film for the locker room of what the Titans' rivalry means to the Jags and the disrespect those motherfuckers have been showing to us. And that's the shit that Urban Meyer wasn't doing. Dougie P got those guys fired up, and it showed. I mean, Josh Allen had his first great game of the year since the beginning. Trayvon Walker with a strip sack. Now he's got a high ankle sprain. This Jags team looks good. And as Train was going through all the little playoff scenarios for the Lions a little bit, and it's far-fetched, man, the Jags got a chance to win the division now. If the Titans go 1-3 with their 1 win against the Texans, and the Jags go 3-1 with that 1 loss against the Cowboys this week, that's going to be a tough game. We win the AFC South. It's for the taking still. It could be a scenario where Week 18 Jags-Titans is a game for the division, and I'm here for it. It'll be electric. They're here. They're back. Etienne is still a solid running back after a down week. He had like 12 rushes for like 29 yards or something, 39 yards, but he had like 29 yards after first contact. The O-line needs big repairs, which is tough because we're paying our left tackle $20 million to do jack shit. Our right guard's making like 22, and he's average. And Jawan Taylor, who's sucked for the last 4 years, is now having the season of his career of course, in his contract year, so we'll see what happens there. But you fix the O-line and you draft defense in this draft and you get Mike Caldwell's ass out of there, this is a 12-5, 13-4 Jaguars team next season. Trevor Lawrence is the guy. Calvin Ridley, forget we got Calvin Ridley in a trade. So you got Calvin
13-4.
Yeah.
I'll put money on it right now, but jersey? Want to do a jersey again?
Yeah, I'll do a jersey again.
13 wins and up. You
I
get
st-
it. 12 and lower.
I
get it.
started with 12-5 though. I feel like
No, you went up 13.
Come
I think you
on.
give him 12.
I think you give me 12
I think
plus.
11 and less is still a pretty decent jersey.
Yeah, I'm still taking that.
12 and up, I'll
Deal.
buy you a jersey. Under 12, 12 and
No,
up, you
other
buy
way
me a
around.
jersey. Under 12, I'll
Yep.
buy you a jersey.
Yep.
All right, deal. It's on the pod. It's locked down. We're in. This is a good team. We're getting Calvin Ridley next year, and we're going to have a good draft. Mike Caldwell will get fired. The defense is too high paid to stick around. I'm excited. I'm excited for the Jags. I'm excited for playoff potential. And I'm ecstatic to still be 12-0 in teasers on the year. I can't be stopped. Eagles, Giants. Giants get manhandled by the Eagles. Philadelphia just once again proving their dominance right now in their division, in their conference. Jalen Hurts looks phenomenal. And I'm going to let Gnar take this one because Jalen Hurts just got traded to his round 1 playoff matchup in an early morning, late trade deadline frenzy that went down. Gnar, are you worried about Jalen Hurts this weekend?
I mean, absolutely. So I'm playing Hammy this week, and he had Kyler Murray on his team. He goes down with an ACL. And, I'm never happy to see injuries. And my quarterback, Lamar, also just went out. But, I get back from vacation at like 2 a.m. last night. And I sleep until like 10. And the first thing I wake up to on my phone is not only is Jalen Hurts on the team, but he also got who from you, Bach?
Tony
Pollard.
Tony Pollard. And that was a rude awakening. I didn't even realize that Jalen Hurts at the moment. All I saw was a Tony Pollard trade. And then I went back and looked and also saw Jalen Hurts on his team. And that made me fire off a questionable trade after thinking about it for a couple hours. But I still think it works as long as Ramondre's healthy. I really don't want to play Jalen Hurts. But if you guys remember, way earlier in the season, I said Jalen's going to have a shitty game soon. You need it to be this week. And of course, he's playing the Bears. He's probably going to drop 40 fantasy roughly. So, I'm kind of fucked. But, yeah.
You made it to the playoffs.
After I think I was very similar to the Lions this year. I started like 1-5,
Right.
and now I'm in the playoffs.
Yeah, you were down at the depths with the couple of us, and then you
I
escaped.
climbed my way out.
The questionable trades that happened, as you know, I've been digging from the bottom all season to the listeners out there.
Literally rock bottom.
Yeah, I think
Last.
there's been 2 weeks where I wasn't number 1 waiver priority, and they weren't consecutive. So like I didn't have number 1, and then the next week I was back to dead last. But the stars aligned last week. I was nervous because Steed had a good team, but they underperformed. On top of my boys taking care of things the week I needed them to, and they did it. I got a win. Justin and Gabe both lost. They'll be playing in the toilet bowl. So me and Noah are in this weird little not in the playoffs, not in the toilet bowl thing, which is every fantasy football league's nightmare. Because Ham texted me right away this morning asking me for Tony Pollard, for Christian Watson, and someone else. And I was like, it's going to make people mad. And he goes, that's why I tried to make it fair. And I was like, you know what? Christian Watson is on the up and up. He's got a good matchup this week. It makes sense. I give him a position of need. I didn't know the Jalen Hurts trade went through. But that one's wild because the guy who gave up Jalen Hurts is playing in the toilet bowl. And his backup was Geno Smith, who's been questionable-ish lately. I don't know. And he traded him for Saquon. and David Njoku. So again, maybe fair, but Saquon's been rough lately.
Absolutely not. Saquon's been fucking in the dumps lately, going against a great Washington Commanders team.
Like
It's not like this is a trade for the future. We're talking about a trade for 1 week, one fucking week for Gabe, and he gives up the number one player, not even quarterback in fantasy, for Saquon and a box of rocks tight end from Cleveland with the underperforming quarterback that hasn't played in 2 fucking years. It's horseshit.
So following those trades, I get a request from Gnar. That's Juju and Travis Etienne for Keenan Allen, who's been he's been Keenan Allen again lately. I'd have done that for less, Gnar. I was shocked you gave me as much as you did. I probably would have done it for Juju straight up. Obviously, my game doesn't matter this week. I wanted to make my commissioner happy. But if that was a trade you were comfortable with making, I'm cool with it. Travis Etienne plays the Cowboys this week, so I don't know. I hope Keenan Allen balls out for you. I gave Tony Pollard to one guy. I gave Keenan Allen to the other. I kind of washed my hands of that. I think I sprinkled some starters over to both teams to make the matchup a little bit more interesting. And again, I think Gabe just might have dug his own grave with the Jalen Hurts trade. I hope Justin claps him because I think an ass tat's going to be more exciting than Justin on Santa's lap in some Grand Rapids mall or something. But we'll see how it goes. I hope you take the cake, and I hope fantasy-wise Keenan Allen goes crazy and Etienne is questionable the rest of the year. But I want the Jags to win, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's just a point in the fantasy year where you either go all in, risk it all, and hopefully it pays off, or you play it safe and you have guys on your bench putting up 30 points a game and you're just set. I put all my chips in the center. If Ramondre doesn't play this week, I am literally fucked.
He'll
Because
play.
I think my backup's Raheem Mostert at the moment. So I'm all in. If I get an injury, so be it. But
He'll play.
I'm in this thing for rings, not to make the playoffs. So
Maybe the one game. Go ahead.
Part of me wants to trade Justin Jefferson for nothing, just in spite of Gabe.
I thought trade deadline was at noon.
It ended at noon. Yeah.
I'll drop.
Wait, it might have.
on his team.
Yeah.
I'm the commish.
Yeah.
Anarchy.
I was thinking about shipping Justin some stuff to help him beat Gabe, but I didn't know how the integrity of that would have held up in the court. Maybe the one game Gnar did get to watch this week was the Steelers' loss. Unfortunate loss to the Ravens, 16-14. Typical Steelers game. Couldn't get over the hump. And I didn't want to say this, but I feel like I have to. It ruined a very large squad ride that drunk Justin gave us all. We had the Bills, Lions, Jags, Chargers, Steelers money lines, and Chargers. I think Chargers won.
2,200. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just the Steelers that busted a squad ride parlay. I think I had 20 to win like 440 on it.
Almost 500.
Yeah, it was.
I put 20 on it too.
It was frustrating. So Gnar, I need you to tell me what happened here.
Oh my god.
Gnar is just realizing the size of our parlay right now.
I didn't know you guys put that much juice on it. Holy
the one response you had on game day was, "Don't bet on Matt Canada."
Yeah, I have a bone to pick with you guys. Coming at the Steelers. You guys didn't even ask me about this.
It was just all Justin.
Justin was just drunk at like 12, and he goes, "I want everybody to be happy this weekend." So he's like, "I'm betting on everyone's teams to win."
Yeah. So Sunday, Bailey and I we went on a jet ski tour at like noon, and then we got off, and I'm like, "All right, babe, we got to go find a bar." So at this point, it was already 1:30. I'm checking all the scores, and I realized Kenny Pickett got concussed again, which is awful to happen twice in your rookie year. And, if that doesn't happen, I think that game changes a lot because he's smarter with the football than Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, that's why the change happened.
So we got to the bar, started ordering drinks. Cheapest bar I've ever been to on that island, too. It was like $3 Cappy Coke. And they were like this big. It's not those tiny tiny
Yeah,
little shot
well,
glass
yeah,
cups.
where you take a sip and you're like, oh, this is mostly ice cubes.
Yeah, so I was killing the drinks, and they had red zone on. So obviously, with the game that went, how that game went, I didn't really see a lot of it. I just I every now and then I go on CBS. I'm like, oh, they're on a drive, and then Mitch interception. I think they had 6 or 7 drives in the opponent territory and 14 points. You just don't win football games like that,
No.
and that comes down to Mitch making mistakes. But again, I didn't watch the game, so I can't blame Matt Canada. But I guarantee you it was his fault.
Is
It was also our field goal frenzy that failed to hit, right, Trent, in that game?
well, Gnar recommended it. Boswell was back, and it's Tucker, and Steelers kick a lot of field goals, and pretty sure he missed. The
He
only
got
one.
blocked.
Oh yeah, he got blocked. It got blocked.
It's still a
I was
mess.
gonna. Yeah. So it would have hit. Gnar, I have a question. Is Mike Tomlin finally gonna go under 500 in a season? They need to win
I
out.
hope so. I hope so. No, I don't. I hope he goes under 500. These wins are fruitless. If they win out and don't make the playoffs, what was the fucking point? Other than
Keep that
Kenny
500.
Pride.
I don't give a fuck about the over 500 shit at this point in the season. You know, um, it's over. I don't care about it. I'd rather get the draft pick, get a good defensive player or offensive lineman, which is a huge need. Even though this offensive line is really starting to come together later on in the year, Najee's starting to play better. Obviously, I'm saying that now, but if they win out, I'd be pretty fucking happy at 9-8 with how poorly they played in the first half. But yeah, I lost my fandom this year, and I think for the rest of the season, I'm a bigger Lions fan than a Steelers fan.
You're
In terms
jumping.
of
You're
wanting a win.
jumping the one
No, no, no,
year
no,
they
no.
go under
No,
500.
no. I'm not jumping. I'd rather them lose for next year. Continue the rebuild. If you told me Lions can either win out or the Steelers can win out, I want the Lions to win out.
We did have the same record going into week 14. Isn't
Yeah,
isn't that crazy?
Always room in Duval County too, Nar.
This was
I wonder why.
You know,
Just look at the
it
hair,
was,
dude.
It was basically the win or go home week for, probably Jags, Lions, and Steelers. And Steelers, they went home. It's just a bad week. Mitch, if one of those throws goes the other way, we're having a different conversation right now, and I might believe a little bit. But yeah, I'm kind of done with it. Done with the season. I'm ready to rinse my hands.
Speaking of people done with their seasons, the Broncos finally look like a football team against the Chiefs, but it's a little too late. They fall to 3-10, 35-28. But this leads into my fantasy football hero of the week again. Outside of Trevor Lawrence being QB1 this past week, I had the pleasure of picking Jerry Jeudy up off the waiver wires with my number one priority. Mans comes in and gets 3 receiving touchdowns against the Chiefs and a Broncos offense that I don't know if they've scored 3 touchdowns combined in a game yet this season. Don't fact check that. Just go with the flow on it. Jerry Jeudy looked great. Russ looked serviceable. However, Chiefs defense, historically awful, probably coasting. So we'll see how that goes with them. I don't have a lot of thoughts on this game. Jerick McKinnon looked solid. Jerick McKinnon looked solid. Great game out of the backfield receiving-wise. And him and Pacheco seem to be handling things well. Anything on that game from you two?
I have one thing on Jerick McKinnon. So after I made the trade to send you ETN, I wanted some form of rebound scenario in case Ramondre isn't a go on Sunday. So I go and look at Gabe's team, and he's starting Zay Jones and Christian Kirk.
Yep.
Saw that.
And I'm like, that makes zero fucking sense.
He did it last week too, I'm pretty sure.
So why don't I send you Donovan Peoples-Jones, and you give me somebody on your bench? And he said no. I don't think that makes sense. DPJ for Jerick McKinnon straight up.
Yeah,
That way he's have to start 2 receivers from the same fucking team.
Yeah, I mean he's just got two boom bust receivers, and that's because they're on the same team. Either Zay Jones has his week or Christian Kirk has his week. Maybe he doesn't
I,
want to decide. I don't know. Because
I hate Gabe. I
Zay
hate him.
Jones had a good game last week. Christian Kirk, average game. I think he got like 8 points. But 49ers handle the Buccaneers 35-7. Brock Purdy looked solid. Looks like he can be serviceable enough to get to next season with Trey Lance being healthy at the start of next season, hopefully. This just leads into the whole Tom Brady question. Is it retirement time for Tom Brady, or is it another team time for Tom Brady?
I think the Bucks are bad. Maybe not Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady could go somewhere else. And I don't ever see anything too wrong with Tom Brady, really. He had 2 picks, 2 more than the Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy. Um, but yeah, I think the Bucks are just bad. They don't know what's going on, and it's a team. It's a Tom Brady team we've never seen before. They're 6-7. Actually, when I was looking at the ESPN Power Rankings, I noticed that the Lions were above the Bucks. So I was thinking, I was like, when have the Lions ever been ahead of Tom Brady in the power rankings? I don't think they've ever been ahead of Tom Brady in the power rankings. So that's cool.
We're in like 2002, maybe.
Yeah, I think Chaw looked
Maybe,
for it.
maybe.
Chaw looked. I'm pretty sure Chaw looked, and I think he said, yeah, I don't think it's ever been done. So he did mention that
Wow.
2002 year, but that's something to think about. On the other side, 49ers, Debo gets injured. Very awful injury that um, I don't even know why they showed it. I'm already thinking about it. But it's weird. I think on Monday I saw he avoided a major injury, and then yesterday it said he will be back for the regular season, which is just a couple of weeks, and
Crazy.
his foot was the wrong way. I don't really know how that works. Jerry Rice was really angry about. Yes, Jerry Rice was angry about this, saying that the position players do not need to be running up the middle, such as Trey Lance, Jimmy G, and now Debo.
Well, I think you're under the pressure to come back quickly because these skill position players can quickly lose jobs to younger, faster backups. Obviously, Debo Samuel much harder to replace than some people, but you see so many running backs go down, and then someone comes in and has a good game. And like, oh, why even bring why? So I think there's a little bit of pressure there, but we'll see how it goes. The doctors know more than we do, but it did look bad.
Really bad. I thought he was gonna be gone for a year. Man's out
Seahawks
for a couple weeks.
Seahawks lose to the Panthers. The
Let's
Geno
go.
the Geno Smith magic seems to be running out a little bit, which is big for Lions fans. We need some Seahawks losses and Giants losses, correct?
Giants or Commanders
Giants,
losses.
Commanders, Seahawks. Uh,
Whoever loses on Sunday night, that's who they need losses from.
Exactly. Yep.
it's another one of those games where the Seahawks were hot, and I still think they're a good team. I think they've got good weapons, and they'll always be defensive. But I mean, it's Seahawks Panthers. The Panthers are pretty much down and out. It's good to see them be happy every once in a while. I like Sam Darnold. I do. I don't think he's belongs with the Panthers. I think he will have a good career with a different team, maybe. I just think he needs a good, fair shot with a good, fair team. We'll see. I wish the best for Sam Darnold, but I don't have a lot on this game unless you guys have something.
Other than the fact that it was great for the Lions, well, you got the Cowboys pretty much locked in the first wild card, and then it kind of gets tricky with the Seahawks, and then the Giants and the Commanders, and then the Lions. So I mean, realistically, if the Commanders and Giants just keep losing, and yeah, Gnar said whoever loses from that game on Sunday, I mean, they all just need to lose. And with the fact that they all or peop, those teams that did play this weekend did lose, it's great for the Lions, and that's all I can hope for.
Chargers beat the Dolphins. Tua looked underwhelming. Is this an issue? Is this the Tua that everyone was saying, I don't know if he's the guy yet, and then everyone at the beginning of the year was like, oh yeah, Tua's not the guy. Is this a Tua that we can expect to see more often, or is this a one-game fluke for Tua?
I want to say one game fluke, but it was a really bad fluke. 10 of 28, 145 passing yards. You know, I think. No, he's still good. He's got a lot more. There's got to be another.
I disagree.
It's gotta be another bad game. I mean, he's got great receivers, and they've kind of been had a weird season with his concussion stuff, and I don't know. Maybe that's what it is, but to a believer, I think he's still good.
How many quarterbacks in the NFL do you think that you could swap out with Tua on that Dolphins team and they'd still be just as good, if not better? I don't need names, I just need a number of quarterbacks you think you could swap into that team and they're as good or better.
16. I'd say at least half the league.
Train?
I was gonna even say more.
And you're telling me you're
16 to
sold
20.
on Tua if there's 16 other quarterbacks you can swap in for him? My threshold for
I'm not. I'm just saying he's.
if you don't have a top 10 quarterback in the league, you need to find a new quarterback for long-term success to win Super Bowls.
So what do you want the Dolphins to do with Tua?
Find a trade partner. You can continue to stay delusional and just keep playing and hope his trade. I don't know. Sometimes that's what's tricky about the NFL is when you draft quarterbacks, it's in your best interest to wait out the 5 years because you're not going to get many more quality quarterbacks for that price of a rookie quarterback deal. I just would not be too excited if I was a Dolphins fan for the future. I don't know if it's as much of a what they should do as much as it is a you're stuck with Tua kind of thing. I'm always going to be biased on lefty quarterbacks too, which is unfair, but you don't see many of them, and when you do, they often don't have long-term success. Throw injury prone on top of that with concussions and whatnot. I mean, yeah, you get him Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, shit. I could probably throw 10 touchdowns on a season with that team. I don't know.
Scream.
Yeah, just let me hike it out of a shotgun. I can probably throw it 5-10 yards horizontal over to Tyreek and let him go. And I'd use my right hand like a regular person should. So I don't know. I don't know what I want them to do. I don't really give a shit because I'm not a Dolphins fan, but I don't think Tua is the answer. I don't think he ever was. I think Tyreek Hill going in there and saying this quarterback's more accurate than Patrick Mahomes was ridiculous of him to ever say. I mean, Mahomes has only looked more and more ridiculous each season. I mean, that little, I think I was watching it with Reen, and I don't even know if it was this week, but when he did that little, pump fake and then started to run and then just, underhand
That was
threw
to
the
McKinnon.
ball. Yeah. What are we even talking about? I don't know.
he's a legend.
Until you find, one of those top 5 quarterbacks, that's your generational lock it down. Then you've got your 5 through 10 guys who you can make it to a Super Bowl with if you give them the right team. Then you got the 10 to 15 guys where, he'll take this team to the playoffs, but you're going to lose to a quarterback who can do more things than your quarterback can, unless you've got a type of defense that the Baltimore Ravens would continually spit out in their runs. Dominant defense or a top 10 quarterback, I don't think the Dolphins have either. So if Tua's your answer, you better start building up the defense. Speaking of bad quarterbacks, Kyler Murray shreds his ACL. He's done for the season. Patriots beat the Cardinals. I don't like rooting for injuries, and I wish Kyler could keep playing so people could continue to see how just because you can run fast and evade tackles doesn't mean you're an NFL quarterback who can win games. Sure, he's won in the first half of the season. Those games don't mean shit. This year, He hardly won it all this season. And now he's done. Colt McCoy might even be a better quarterback. We'll see. He's got a 4-year, hundreds of million guaranteed contract. So congratulations, Arizona Cardinals. You've got Kyler Murray for 4 more miserable years of football. Enjoy it. Gnar, Train, thoughts on the Cardinals game? Jack Moans for the Patriots, getting it done.
This is kind of the game that got Jalen Hurts on Hammy's team against Gnar. Goes down, and so does Ramondre. Absolutely awful. A lot of people had him in their, this is my game to get in the playoffs kind of thing. Kyler Murray, this is a big game for a lot of people, a lot of points, and I was down to comp by 20, and I had Hollywood and Ramondre, and it wasn't really, I was already in the playoffs, but I lost, and that could have been like to get in the playoffs. So just a lot of injuries, and it was just an awful game, really, if you watched it all.
Gnar, anything on this before we jump into some college football?
So for fantasy, how does it work for a tiebreaker if people have the same record?
Normally it's points 4 is the first tiebreaker.
At least in ESPN.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because when Ramondre went down at that point, I think I was down like 18 to Gabe. And luckily, James Conner kind of popped off.
Yeah.
But I think if I would have lost, then Noah would have been in the playoffs. And that would have been – because I was just like you, Train. I had James Conner and Ramondre and 20 points.
And Nick
I almost
Folk.
didn't get it. Yeah.
Shout out Nick Folk. He did a lot for you.
He got a lot of points.
Because I was hashtag Team Gnar all weekend. I needed Gabe and Justin to lose. And you pulled it out, man. And James Conner went out, came back in. It was electric.
So Island time, they're an hour ahead. So I went to bed like midway through the second quarter, and I was just fucking pissed off at Nick Folk. I knew Ramondre got injured, but I didn't know James Conner also went out during that game. Thank God he came back.
Nick Folk hit that 50-plus yarder right before half, and I was like, all right, let's go. They lined him up for it. I was jumping in my living room, and Reen's like, oh, do you need him to, like, you need to win this week? I'm like, this isn't even for my team. I just need this other guy I need this other guy to win so that this other guy loses so that I don't go to the toilet bowl. Great news in college football this week. Papa Bach especially happy with results. As a Ferris alum and a former Army veteran, or I guess current Army veteran. I don't know if you'd be a former veteran. Dogs are going to the national championship in Texas for the second year in a row. We can't be stopped. There's no program better in D2 football than the Ferris State Bulldogs. Go Dogs. They're playing, and I'm not kidding, the Colorado School of Mines. Did we not play them last year? I feel like I've seen this name before and made fun of it already.
I remember making fun of it too.
Yeah, we definitely made fun of it.
But yeah, we got Go Dogs going into the national championship in Texas, back-to-back years. Army pulls out a close one against Navy. Papa Bach was jumping around. We were at a Christmas party with the not-so-loud side of the family. So my mom was trying to calm him down a little bit, but what are you going to do? Like, there's one thing for rooting for the school you graduated from. There's another thing rooting for the branch of military you served in. So he had a great weekend watching Ferris win, Lions win, and Army win.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
What a weekend he had.
He had a great weekend.
Fuck yeah.
Outside of that, quick jump in on the Red Wings. If you're a casual who's just looking at the record, don't be stressed out too much. We are getting penetrated with injuries right now. We just like to block all the shots that go towards the net. Everybody likes to dive in front. Let the goalie make the saves. I love the idea of a blocked shot, and they're fun, but if we start losing games, it's because of injuries. Don't panic. Trust the Yzer plan. The other offseason for the Tigers, fans are getting antsy on Twitter. I think I touched on it. It might have been last week with you, Train. It might have been with both of you here. Scott Harris all but came out and said, I'm not going to do that much. And I was talking to Reen today too, and he's like, I said, what do you want him to do? Who do you want him to go sign? Who do you want him to trade for? We don't have any assets. We don't have any reason to give anybody big money right now. We're in wait and see mode, which sucks, but it's better than being dumb and getting ourselves in worse situations for the future. So Tigers fans, stay patient. With that, we'll look into week 15. We only got 4 more regular season weeks in football. I'm still 12-0 on the teasers. The prop bets are 17-16 total on the year. Train's 9-3 on teasers. Gnar's 8-4. TD score 5-6 from Train and Gnar 7-4 from me. Money in the Bank's at 4-2. Yeah. Field goal frenzy's at 3-2. What do we got this week? I haven't even looked at the slate yet. Does somebody have one for me right off the bat, or do I need to keep talking? Yeah, you got something?
Nice.
Let's hear it.
Bills. Easy money. Saturday night, it's going to be cold. Looked at the weather report. It's going to be snowing too. 2 is not doing shit in Buffalo this Saturday night. I think it's easy at 1.5 and not even worth the sweat. Don't even care about this game. Don't even turn it on. It already hit.
I did see
They're winning
something
by 2 or more.
that said they had sideline heaters on at their last game or something, and the outside
55 degrees.
Yeah, and then they're like, now they're going to play in Buffalo, so I don't hate it.
At night, no chance they get anywhere close to winning that game.
So Bills minus 1.5.
Yep.
Train, you got something?
Yeah, I mean we have Saturday games. I love that pick, Gnar, especially coming off of the Tua game. Bills are hungry for a better win than they just had against the Jets.
And it's revenge game for the Bills because they already lost to the Dolphins.
I was almost thinking about a Money in the Bank play on the Bills after you talked about them. So I'm not going to, because the last time I did it, I really screwed over the tease pick. So if I do another Money in the Bank, it's not going to be a tease. And I really, really, really want to do it.
I did a Money in the Bank on the tease once. and it hit.
I think it's Quinnen Williams on the Jets.
That's correct.
Defense kind of banged up after the last game, and he kind of leads that team on the ground, or up front. And Lions, we're gonna tease them. Got to do it.
So we got the Lions
What's the spread?
-1.
Yeah, I did this.
Brings them to +5.
It was -1.
I think it's actually lower than that now, because I think I saw people tweeting about it. I think they're to 2.5 now.
The Lions?
I could be way wrong though.
I'll look it up, Bart, while you talk about yours.
My Twitter sources are never good, so.
I'm looking on the ESPN app right now, and it says the line's even.
Oh, perfect.
Well.
I'll take those points. I mean, we're kind of the hottest team in football in the last 6 weeks, going against the Jets team who have been sliding, the quarterback issues, injury issues. It's a way. It is outside, I think, and it is outside. But let's do it. Let's keep it going. We gotta win. Let's do it.
This is gonna be gross,
Okay.
and I'm scared to do it.
Texans. He's saying Texans.
God.
Because I'm 12-0, and I don't want to ruin it on something dumb like this. But
The Chiefs are awful at covering.
Damian Pierce is
injured.
out. The Texans just had their game of the year last week, pretty much, by almost beating the Cowboys. I'm going to tease the Chiefs down to -8.
Oh.
I think they win by at least 10 points. I think it'd be embarrassing if they didn't. No, I can't do it. I'm tweaking already. I'm sweating. I can feel it.
They'll probably both hit whatever you pick, and the Chiefs.
There's no other games I really love, but give me the Giants. Give me the Giants against the Commanders. They're +4.5. Give me 6 more points. Make it +10.5. I think they'll at least keep it close. I think they're a little bit embarrassed after playing the Eagles, and they got to fight for their honor. Commanders' defense is good. It'll probably be a low-scoring game, so 10 points is going to be a lot to cover. Lock in the Giants. Forget I said anything about the Chiefs. Unless it hits, then we'll talk about it next week. What do we got for touchdown scores? Give me the winners. Anybody? Bueller?
Bueller.
It's a reference from a movie.
Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. When he,
Day off.
yeah, and he goes, Bueller. Bueller.
Looking at these scores, there's some gross games, some disgusting games.
It's a tough slate. I was digging for that teaser for forever. I think I got mine.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go back to Keenan Allen.
Let's go back.
I had him 2 weeks ago and it hit. Didn't score a touchdown this week, but the man's is getting like 15 targets per game. A lot of my touchdown scores have been based off my fantasy needs. I don't have any this week. Last week it was Tony Pollard, hit. Week before, Keenan Allen, hit. But I want Keenan Allen to succeed on Gnar's team. So I'm going to take him for my TD score this week so that Gnar can have a sweet, sweet, sweet 6 extra points in fantasy football.
I like Travis Kelce this week. It's been a minute. Honestly, the odds might not be too bad. You won't have to drink too much juice for it. But I also, I'll get into my other ones that I'd also like after Nard picks his. I don't want to shout it out before he does, but I think Kelce finds the end zone this week, especially against the Texans early in this game, like maybe first drive. Maybe if you're feeling really frisky, you might want to take him first touchdown.
I could see that against the Texans.
Yeah. So
All right.
that's my pick.
Gnar?
This is I gotta look at the depth chart for this team really quick.
For this team.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. A lot of time to think on this.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm looking at a game with one dominant wide receiver on this roster. Going against a coach that's pretty decent at neutralizing your best weapon in Bill Belichick. I think he's going to do everything in his power, doubling Devontae Adams every single play. And I think that's going to give Matt Collins some rooms to make some play.
Matt Collins?
I think it provides a lot of value for us against
I like it. I like
I love
it.
it so much.
a great coach at covering, the best player on the team. Why not Matt Collins?
Matt Collins, Keenan Allen, Travis Kelce, lock it in. Then we got the Giants, the Lions, and the Bills on our teaser. Lock that in. Train, you said you had some extras for us.
Jamal Williams. Now just had him last week, but I mentioned it when I said the tease. Quinnen Williams injured. Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's not at full strength. Pair him up with Miles Sanders. I think he definitely scores. Obviously with ours too, but
Against
I think
the Bears.
So I think I'd parlay those two. You can add it to ours, whatever. But I'm just gonna do a separate one with just those two and see how it does.
Perfect. I love it. Sorry for the day late, everybody, but here we are uploading for you. This was episode 14 of Jux and All Things Sports Podcast, presented by Always Boolin. If you're following us on YouTube, drop a like, hit the subscribe button. If you're on Spotify, drop the follow, give us a quick rating. But as always, until next time, next week, we fist it, boys.
Go Dogs. Beat Colorado.
Cool lines.